Greetings. This is Dr. Parsons, Dr. Patrice Parsons. I am recording this so that you have some reference for how to navigate through Canvas, or some way to be modeled this, as well as let you know that on January the 14th, the first day of classes, I have been called for jury selection, so I won't be able to assist you in class. So I want to make sure you have an ability to go through the Canvas shell on your own and know a little bit more of what's expected of you, so we can jump into the content on Wednesday when I return. All right, so this is my home page in Canvas. I do remind you that this is I'm just your lab instructor. I'm only going to teach a lab, and that is going to be 40% of your grade. However, I am including some information from the lecture as well here for your convenience. If there's more things that you need, please feel free to ask me, but I do not give you your lecture grade. So please, again, note that. So here, the most important navigational selections are going to be modules and syllabus. And after you go through the syllabus once, you won't need this again. So if you click on this syllabus, it'll take you, this is a PDF of the whole syllabus, and then this is the text following below it. I went ahead and opened it up, downloaded it, and I have it open, so let's take a look at this. A lot of the syllabus is basically science department and Grayson policy and procedure. There are some, however, very important things that are personalized from me, your instructor. So here's all the contact information for me. You can phone me, you can send email, but I do prefer that you contact me through the inbox in Canvas, and I'll show you that when I get back out of here. All right. Please let me know when you need to see me. I hope that you all at some point or another come into my office and seek some help or discussion. So this goes through the basic in policy. You have to be enrolled, right, in the lab and the lecture. So concurrent enrollment in biology 2301 is required. Sorry that I have 2101 here. Didn't realize that till just now, right? You have to be reading proficient, and that's, again, college readiness here, in order to succeed in the class. There's a lot of new vocabulary, and that's what really catches students off guard. So it's fundamental that you have a good grasp on how to get information, right? How to critically read. So this just talks about the description of the courses, the lecture 23 and lab 21. And then here are what the state mandates for your capabilities, what we call your skills or competencies. And then we also have what we've agreed as instructors you should be able to do once you complete this. And then we've also included what the state says that every AP1 student should be able to do. So we did divvy that into what really the lab, something you more likely receive in lab, and the things that you are more likely to receive in lecture. But this is a combined course, so they should really complement each other very, very closely. All right, so goes on and talks about the various concepts that you're going to learn, so that's there for your reference. Important here, your required textbook is Anatomy and Physiology OpenStax, which is free. So in the modules, I've taken each chapter and made a PDF of just that chapter for your convenience to download, print, whatever. If you have a difficult time printing, please let me know so I can print copies for you. But that's on an individual needs basis. So you can purchase the entire textbook from the bookstore or Amazon or even the site OpenStax, and it runs about $50, which is considerably cheaper than what our previous lecture material was, and it's a very good resource. In lab, we do require a lab manual that is not free. It runs about $100. It is out of Morton Publishing, called Exploring Anatomy and Physiology. That's the 3rd edition. All right, so it is a very good, and you'll see me referencing that quite a bit in your modules when we get there. Here's important dates for the college specifically. So please keep this as a reference. And then I have the schedule of what we're going to cover and what was going to be required. So I also have a hard copy of this for you guys that I'll have available as a handout. All right, so in as far as the lecture goes, I'm just telling you what you should be covering about when, but I'm not your lecture instructor, so that could change. The lab is pretty set. We have our first lab practical around week 6 to 7, and and you'll see that as we go through here. So this is organized by weeks, and you notice here that practical 1 falls in that 6th week, okay? And it's going to cover everything we've done up to that point, which will basically be your introductory organization and cell stuff, and then tissues. And then we start the next unit in lab, and there's only 3 units, and that will be your bones and your skin, your bones, your muscles, and your joints. And then the last one covers only nervous system. So that's all here and kind of chunked out. And again, I have a handout of this for you as well. The methods of evaluation are pretty straightforward, but please reference these because, again, this is policy and procedure for us. It reminds you again that the lab is 40% and lecture is 60%. And I just mentioned a little bit about the lecture component. Again, your lecture instructor will elaborate more on that. Your lab component, you have lab quizzes every week, at least 1 per week, and they will very likely be on Mondays, with the exception of next week when we have Monday off. All right. Again, you do have enough lab quizzes that we do drop one of your lowest grades. Okay. It mentions here that we also assess your skills in the microscope. And I will have pre-lab questions to be submitted. So every week you should see those. And so if you go back up to these assignments, you'll notice take lab quiz and submit pre-lab questions. And that's true for most every week. And again, those will be due consistently on Mondays with the exception of next week when we have a holiday. All right, there will be 3 lab practicals and that will go into your final lab grade. And then the quizzes and the pre-labs will constitute 25%, so they'll be a 1/4. So each practical is worth the same amount towards your grade. And then cumulatively, lab quizzes and lab reports will equal 1 practical. And so lab reports, one thing I didn't mention is right up here, a lab report will be submitted. And we actually do this lab next week. And this, a report will be made, and it will be a group report that we will evaluate for critical thinking and teamwork and communication and empirical skills, so your ability to work with numbers, right? So here I then say that course grading is 60% comes from lecture and 40% will be lab, and you receive the same grade from lecture and lab, right? So methods of instruction are pretty straightforward. Class attendance is required but does not count towards your grade. These are all policies and discipline, and then we have, our plagiarism policy and our rules for handling microscopes, and then of course lab safety, which is a big deal, right? So please note, I'm going to give you guys a syllabus quiz too, and it's a take-home syllabus quiz, but I'm going to ask you about things regarding lab safety because this is extremely important that you understand how labs are run. All right, so please go through this carefully. All right, and then Title IX. Okay, so going back into the Canvas, again, I said the most important navigational button will be modules. That's where I put almost everything you're going to need to do. And most everything that you do in lab will be submitted in lab, so you don't have to submit a lot through Canvas. In the modules, which are outlined here, and then these are the subcomponents of this, Start here just goes back through a lot of what's in the syllabus, all right? And really the content starts here with week 1, and everything is chunked by weeks. It just makes sense to me. And then within that units, and you're going to have 3 units. So I do have lecture materials, but all I'm including here, of course, are the chapters from the book. So you'll always have an objectives for lab. Then you'll have additional information, like for the first lab, we talk about safety, so there's a safety document, and this comes straight out of your syllabus. Organization of the human body, so additional work. Instructor photos and videos. I include this, I've done this through the years, and they work pretty well for students. If there's anything else that you want that I don't include in my modules, please let me know. And then images from your lab manual. All right, week 2, again, lecture materials, I just include the PDF. We have now the first pre-lab, all right, which I'll be handing these out to you guys in class, so you don't have to ever print these out if you don't want to. Objectives, I will hand out in class. Then you have rules for how to take care of the microscope, some additional images and resources for microscopy, and then publisher stuff. Now, the second week is kind of crazy, and we'll postpone our microscopy to do the chemistry, and I probably will have an online quiz. But here with the chemistry, again, you've got your instructor videos, you've got photos I've done, you have publisher content. And then this is relevant to that core lab report. So, and I'll talk more about that in class, but that's what is beneath this group lab report information text. Week 3, same idea, right? Extra resources. I did include something here because this is a difficult concept, and these are just animations I found on YouTube that I thought would help, or links that might help you guys. Lab stuff, here's your preview lab, here's your objectives, and then I separate it by the cells and molecular movement, because there's a lot of stuff, additional stuff I have for you guys here. But please do not hesitate, always take a close look. Around week 4, you'll probably be taking your first lecture test, so that's why I've mentioned that. Take a breath and get going again. And in lab that week, we do our cell cycle and epithelium. Okay? So please do not hesitate to ask me any questions, but since I won't be there the first day of class to really go through this in detail, I want to make sure you have this instructional video to help you out. Okay? And then around week 6, we'll have our first lab practical. So here's a review for that. Okay, and meanwhile you'll be doing the integumentary system in lecture. All right, and then we start Unit 7. Unit 2 from week 7. All right, so please, again, if you can't find something, reach out to me immediately. Most everything will be submitted in class, and I would like you guys, again, to stick to the due dates and schedules. Most due dates will be Monday. Right, so just expect to have that pre-lab ready for me, and we take a quiz. So your grades otherwise will be posted here in under grades, and to get a hold of anyone else in the class, you'd find them in people. All right, so lots and lots of reference stuff and resources. So just be sure and ask me if there's anything you can't find, and I will be looking forward to working with you and having a great semester. Thank you.